Yo, this is Sango, and you're listening to Stay Cool Radio.
Welcome to Monaverse. Welcome to a fireside chat with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So it's so good to get into it. So at Mona, we're a 3D world building platform for building high quality immersive experiences. We're running Mona Shorts Fest at the moment, which runs to the 20th of September. And as part of that, we are meeting some of our jury members, of which Bert is one of those. So let's get into it. We've got a tight 30 minutes today. We'll try and get through all of the questions, and there's a couple that are in the community submissions as well. So we'll try and get to those. We can't promise we will. So take us back. When did your passion for animation start for you? What were some of the creative influences and outlets that you had earlier on?
Oof. I guess just growing up with classic Disney films, a lot of mangas. I just naturally liked drawing, and to be quite honest, I didn't know that I was gonna be involved with the animation industry until I got into Cal Arts at the time when I was applying to colleges, schools. Uh, I was aiming at whatever, major I could land on, and knowing that Cal Arts has its history and knowing that I have the love for animation, once I got in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I love drawing cartoons. I'll give this a try. And once I got in, I met with colleagues and friends that inspired me to push harder at this medium, and that's what got me into being here.
Cool. And you've worked on some incredible projects and titles. Which, in your mind, catapulted your career? Um, yeah, which is a title or the moment in time? Take me back to what elevated your career.
I think that would be Adventure Time for sure. I was working in uh, the feature side of stuff until my friend Pendleton Ward got his show picked up over at Cartoon Network. Once that happened, I jumped ship and started writing and storyboarding on Adventure Time. That being a very peculiar show, the network, the studio was very worried about where it was headed, and I think um, a lot of people had to go through different attempts of uh, making the show into what it is right now. We had a lot of failures, and that kind of surviving that process, I think that kind of gave me the reputation of the person who survived Adventure Time season one, and from there, I think got more trust from people and from other studios to work on other projects.
Love it, love it. Persistence, resilience. It seems to be consistent through some of your life experiences. Well, we'll get onto that a bit later. So let's get into it. So, what makes a good story in your mind? What are the elements? You've won a primetime Emmy. Like, talk to me about what makes a good story and what you're looking for in the shorts that you'll be judging.
Um, I first look at the freshness uh, of course, the story, but also the characters. The style of the uh, animation, the look, overall everything. I guess it's a balance of having everything together that plays well. So I can't really say that I look for a single certain thing. It's just how everything plays all together in harmony. But what I look at the most is entertainment, just not only visually, but also from the the feel that you get from the product.
Just unpacking what you said there in terms of harmony. So describe what created that harmony, that congruence across Over the Garden Wall.
Um, that's a that's a good question. I think again, it's everything from character design, the look. What drew me to that project was the pilot that got released by Cartoon Network. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but before the green light, there was a short that came out at Cartoon Network called Tomb of the Unknown. I think it might be still available on YouTube if you look for it. But for a TV production, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I knew Pat, the creator of the show, who I went to school with. When he released the short, I saw it and I was like, wow. Knowing Pat McHale, I knew that he was going to make something beautiful and funny and entertaining, but it really blew my mind from the quality of animation, the BG, the characters, the dialogue, everything that was in it was just compelling for me. I don't know how to describe it in words, but if you look at the short, you'll probably get what I'm saying. It was just like a well-balanced product that was produced in an economic way, and you can tell that the creator has a very specific taste that nobody else has, and I think that is what I'm looking for when I look for a good project.
Yeah, I love that. I love when he talks about being beautiful, funny, and entertaining and compelling. It's such a good formula, very consistent through your work. So take me to a day of work. What's your starting point if you're presented a script? How you go from script to storyboard? Or the sort of line process, sort of top line that you take.
Yeah, it all starts from breaking a story, an episode in a writer's room, right? As supervising director / director, you sit in these writers' meetings to guide the writers to write different episodes for a show. From there, you work with the writers to get a script out, and then once the script is out, you will be working with your story team, which are a group of storyboard artists and other directors. You assign them to different episodes, and then go through a 6 to 8 week process of storyboarding a script. During that process, a lot of jokes get added on, or fix story problems that you see along the road, and multiple reviews with the studio, the showrunners, the executives, and whatnot. Constantly, the boards get polished to a point where it gets sent over to editorial, and then my job is to oversee the process of editing as well, to make sure all the storyboard panels are timed out to the given time for a TV show. For instance, like is this going to be like an 11-minute show or a 22-minute show? Is the animation timed out to a point where an animation studio can take it and animate it without a problem? Basically, you're building an animatic, which is a manual for the animation studio to take over and animate. Because a lot of the projects and often TV shows don't get to be animated in-house, you are working with overseas animation studios, which require a very thoroughly figured out manual for them to refer to in order to build the final product, from BGs, painting the BGs and posing out the characters, keying them out, animating it, and then delivering it back to us so that we can get into post-production.
Wow, there's a lot that goes into it. Hey, it makes me think we're giving our creators a really big challenge here. Obviously, this is a big studio and an orchestra coming together to create it. I'm really fascinated. I was just watched an episode, a 2-minute episode of We Bare Bears. Talk to me about movement. So you've got 2 minutes. Talk to me about how you think about movement of the characters and landing that dialogue and movement and what's on screen in that short time frame.
Movement wise, I'm a big fan of knowing how to limit myself. Often I think the common mistake that a lot of animators make is that they do too much. I believe in the philosophy of less is more, and that also applies to animation. Like I said, making a film or making a TV show is a group effort. It's comes from a huge team, and I understand the mentality of animators that they want to shine in a review, and often that leads to a point where they just overdo things because they want to, again, shine in the room. I think it's the job for directors to know how to pull back from that and know exactly when you want to have polished, overdone animation versus limited, less movement, so that you can texture the episode or the entire film right. That being said, I always try to look at a bigger picture. Again, knowing when to do less so that the moments where more like beautifully done animation, more dynamic animation done can really get emphasized during an episode or an entire film. So again, it's all about the balance and overseeing the entire thing, having knowing the bigger picture, and just like designing the entire product in a well-textured way, if that makes sense.
It does, yes. I'm picking up what you're putting down. This is an awesome conversation, super relevant for anyone that's creating a short. So thank you for sharing. What references do you look at? You know, people talk about river jumping from lots of different places, and you're challenged to be creative every single day, every hour of the day. What are you looking at from a reference standpoint?
Is this regarding animation or story or
Animation, yeah.
In terms of animating a character, I look at a lot of live action films, and theater is a great example because animation is all about posing, having a clear silhouette, and making sure that it's legible, right? And theater does a great job at that because you have to have your action silhouetted in a way where people look at you from a certain direction and get what kind of action is happening. So clarity is a huge thing, and I feel like old films cared about that a lot because they had limited camera movements, making sure the composition of the shot is well done so that it's emphasizing the performance of the actors the performers in general. Again, theater does that a lot. So it gives you a better idea what reads on screen.
Have you got a show that you've been to recently or within the last year, a theatre show to recommend?
I mean, in terms of animation, I would again look at live action films from the old days. Like a lot of animators are gonna refer to Hitchcock films and y- again, like old timey films where acting was done in a more specific way. So I would bring those up. I would definitely uh, not recommend looking at other animated films for looking into acting because again, you don't want to do stereotypical animation acting when you're doing these things. I know a lot of people refer to well animated Pixar films and Disney films, but I think that's the trap that everybody falls into. I'm a person who likes the reality in acting, even when you're working in the medium of that animation. Like I care about realistic acting, more sincere acting that people could relate to and say, "Wow, I could really emote with the characters." So again, live action films is where I go back to, and old timey films like Hitchcock, old black and white films.
Yeah.
Hope that answers the
Yeah,
question.
no, that's good. That's good. That's good. And who's been your favorite character? I know it's hard to pick a favorite child. Who's been your favorite character to animate?
Uh, that I've animated, you're saying? I, as a story person in this industry, you don't get to animate a whole lot. Though I come from a hand-drawn animation background, I never was on a project that really got me involved in doing 2D animation. Um, so I don't know if I can answer that question.
Favorite character
But
to storyboard? My correction.
definitely the characters from Over the Garden Wall. Those are my favorite characters that liked acting out. Uh, Battle Kitty was a fun one. I don't know if anybody got to see it because Netflix did a pretty terrible job at marketing it. I don't know a lot of people who has even heard about it.
We'll make sure we
It's
give it a share.
yeah,
Give it a watch, have a look.
it's a super fun show in my opinion. I feel like it got overshadowed a little bit by the interactive side. I wish there was a way to watch it without it. Um, but if you look at the show itself, it's a really fun animated show, and I had a lot of fun uh, helping with storyboards and drawing the characters and building the animatics and whatnot. It's a really fun one.
So you've also delved into voiceovers as well. So a unique challenge with where our platform is at the moment is that we haven't got the ability to animate expressions yet on
Mm.
faces. It's there, it's coming, but not quite there yet. So when you strip that away, and you've just got voice and you've just got head position, what are your top tips for delivering a very compelling voiceover?
Oof, when you can't do lip sync over voiceover. I guess I mean, I've seen stuff, I feel like. Sims, the game, uh if I remember correctly, did that, right? They don't have lip sync over the voice or the dialogue that happens in the game. But I guess it's again, I'm repeating myself, but clear acting, um, and limited key poses where you just don't overdo stuff. Especially when you can't focus on the face and expressions. I feel like you're focusing on the dialogue itself. You don't want to muddy it with. You don't want the acting to get all muddy with overdone acting, like broad action, and often referred to as animated acting. So I would say pull back and know your key poses and just know how to limit yourself from overdoing it, where it's not watery animation that's where you're having the character move for no reason. Sometimes it's better to just keep the character still and just accent certain words in a dialogue.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. That's really good feedback, and good tips. We talked about it earlier, but I'm going to go a bit deeper now. You actually mentioned stripping back. So, simplicity is key. How do you know when the edit's done? How do you know when your 2-minute, 10-minute, 11-minute, 20-minute episode is done?
When your line producer tells you to turn in your stuff. There's no end to this. The TV production that we have is a real impossible one to meet, and you just keep going on until someone else tells you to stop. I mean, I think a lot of creatives would agree to this, but there's no self-disciplining in the process of making an animated film. Like, there's always going to be things that you are not happy with, and that being said, I think having a production schedule is important to know the phases of different knowing the different phases that you have to go through in different time periods, and just like knowing when to stop, forcing yourself to prioritize things, choosing your battles, and you just got to try your best to just again choosing those battles to meet the deadline.
Yeah, I love it. Picking your battles. I love it. What are your highlights from working at Disney, Pixar, and Netflix or Netflix? Just a couple of highlights.
Knowing that your peers are into your work, getting that feedback that the work that you put in is appreciated, and that often comes from the compliments that you get from the people that you respect, that you work in the industry together, I guess. Yeah, like, awards don't mean anything, at least for me. Everybody who works in this industry knows that it's just luck that you get an Emmy, that you get an Annie, or you win a a a shiny trophy. It doesn't really mean anything, but you know that the work that you've put in is actually good when you hear from the people that you respect the most, and hearing that compliment, that is definitely the highlight of working in this industry.
So great, so small, but it matters who the messenger is, right? In
Yeah.
talk about behavioral economics, who tells you that you're doing well, and how much you respect their opinions. And you sort of alluded to a challenge there with Netflix marketing. We'll not go too deep in that, but what are some of the challenges with working at big studios these days? It's massively topical right now.
Oof. I think seeing eye to eye what a good story is, what compelling characters are. I think bigger network studios have uh, a different focus than us as creatives. Uh, these studios are a business that need to see a profit, and that often drives the people who make decisions to go after the profit than trying to create something fresh or creatively satisfying. It's difficult to know that our work is always going to be dumbed down to be at the eye level of the general audience, and it's very often disappointing to see how these big studios are underestimating the intelligent intelligence level of the general audience. It's like often a battle of, oh, people are not going to get this, people are not going to be entertained by this because it's so new and never done before. It's frustrating to see how these studios are afraid of taking on a new challenge and um, going on a new path of storytelling. Uh, I, I'm sure you know the state of the industry at the moment right now. It seems very bleak at the moment. All the studios are focusing more on IPs than picking up original ideas, which is quite disappointing. So going through this moment is really difficult and um, just disappointing to observe at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. So let's change tack. Let's end on a high, kind of. What do you think the opportunities are for studios and the metaverse?
Hmm.
So, yeah, from what you know and what you've been exposed to, what do you think the opportunities are?
I'm personally really excited about it. Haven't been seeing a successful attempt yet at it. Makes me wonder who's gonna do it first. But the opportunities are infinite. Like I was pitching ideas that uh, would start as an animated project, but eventually turn into a video game that could live in the metaverse and would prompt viewers and users to have access to uh, the product in a way they would be more engaged uh, with playing the games and like uh, I used to be a League of Legends player, and knowing how successful that game was, I was thinking there would be a way of taking that platform in a way to monetize an animated show, turning that into like a game. Sorry, I'm kind of like blabbering right now. It's a complicated idea, but basically just combining all these mediums together in a way to figure out a new way to monetize on a franchise like this, um, involving cryptocurrency as well. Uh, I think the
Sounds like you're
concern
pitching
that
an idea to Mona. We'll take the idea. Which is it?
Yeah, I mean, I I at one point was a believer in cryptocurrency, and like I didn't dive too deeply into NFTs, but being a big fan of, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, again, League of Legends, and other animated shows, I thought there would be a way to connect all those together and figure out a world where you can enjoy all of that and monetize off the platform that you newly build. Where, again, like, League of Legends was a free game that everybody could get into just by downloading it, but they figured out a way to make profits out of, selling skins and themes and stuff that other developers never thought of doing. Um, Again, I was pitching ideas where, you know, uh, a game that was that would originate from an animated show turn into like a Magic the Gathering type game where you would have to purchase character cards and stuff like that in order to play the game, therefore giving that profit that the studio needed, and the budget that we would be able to make an animated show off of. So be interesting to uh, think of a way to make a sustainable project where, you're not only fulfilling a creative vision that you have, but also bringing that profit to the studio, the investor that would be invested in making that idea come to life.
So well, that's the beauty of decentralization, insofar as, it closes the gap between the creator and the true fan.
Yeah.
And for that fan to participate in the future of it in a more tangible way, intentional way than they are currently in the shareholder fiat land.
Oh
But
yeah.
definitely, I think that the studios are a bit slower moving than others, than other juggernauts in delving in, and some are going full tilt, like Mattel, for example, and those sort of more riskier brands. Yeah, it's a great place to be. Everything's changing, and it's so great to hear you're already thinking about ideas. So yeah, let's set up
Yeah. Sorry about
Bert
blabbering. It's
Youn's
such
Mona.
a yeah. Sorry if I was like blabbering about this idea. It took me a little effort to wrap my head around this complicated idea that I had, but I'd love to chat more if we have the time, but I know
Yeah, we don't want to give away the alpha too
yeah.
much yet. But yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. And never apologize for how your mind works. Some people go linear, some people, to get their idea out. So yeah, it's been delightful to have you on the sofa, so to speak, the virtual sofa. I've really enjoyed this conversation, the pacing of it, where we've gone to today, and hearing about your stellar career, but also unpacking some tips and tricks, how you work. So thank you for taking the time out. We cannot wait for you to be a judge, a jury member for Mona Shorts. We can't wait to show you some of the entries. For anyone that's listening that hasn't tuned in before, we're Monaverse. We're a 3D world building platform to create stunning spaces, 3D objects, and avatars. And we're running Mona Shorts Fest at the moment, which is a celebration of the short film format, filmed purely in Mona, 80% of it in Mona, with a minimum time on it of 2 minutes, so a very short. And with the film studio at your fingertips, that is Mona, you can jump in with an avatar and film a story today. As Bert says, it could be as simple as a piece to camera and a monologue that's delivered with a few poses in a very convincing way. I think we can all take from the beautiful, funny, entertaining and compelling. I think that was a really interesting lens to look at things. And I really, what you said, less is more, and stripping things back and keep yourself honest, to be able to spend time in the creative areas, texturing, etc., that you want to spend time in. So yeah, thank you very much, Bert. We're looking forward to see what you're working on. I understand we can't go into it in too much detail at all, except you're working on a project for Nickelodeon. That's all we can say. So yeah, we're excited to see what you move on to next, and yeah, we'll be in touch about those game ideas.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we'll build a bear. We bear bears.
Yeah.
Thanks,
well, it's
everyone.
been an honor. Thank you. Looking forward to everything.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks everyone that's tuned in. Thanks everyone that's produced this show. There's a village that have produced this show, so you know who you are. Thank you very much for your time and everyone that's attending, and I'll see you on the socials. Have a good one.
Mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Like liquor, like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Like liquor, like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Say all on his mouth like liquor. Like liquor, like liquor. Voltava, tranquilo na cara. Tipo, fazendo nada. Mexendo no celular, vendo como.